Here we go again. You've been waiting for this. Season 4 of Joe Goldberg, the psychopath Weird Girls fan over. This season takes place in England, so you know, tea, yellow teeth, and driving on the wrong side of the road. If you're new to this channel, I go episode by episode, going over what happens and then reviewing each episode. Spare change, man. Episode 1 starts with Joe, now known as Jonathan Moore, a new uni professor in London. He's still obsessing over Marianne.
The American.
This guy.
After work, he heads to his flat.
All I can say is never again.
This house is way too nice. How much money is he being paid? He's a teacher.
And who is that?
No! He stops himself from obsessing.
The best way to stay out of people's business is to know what that business is.
Kinda. He does the usual.
Kate and Galvin.
You folks split when you were 12.
Little.
Kate, Malcolm's girlfriend, is Joe's neighbor, which isn't a great thing since Joe is saving himself from Marianne. He's actually in London to find Marianne. Bro doesn't ever change. I swear he's done this every season. Joe's walking home when he sees Kate being mugged. Joe honks a car horn to stop the muggers.
I'm sorry, this is just a little awkward.
What? Just say it!
Can you maybe don't mention me?
She's low-key really pissed at Joe for some reason. When he goes home, Malcolm visits Joe to thank him for helping out Kate. Malcolm invites Joe to an elitist party thing. It's filled with the worst type of people.
This is Jonathan Moore.
I have too many friends. Come back when one is dead.
Yup. Joe is the American in London, so that includes a lot of American jokes.
American, are we?
Careful. They will have guns.
I wish.
Hey, that's only some people, okay? Joe's sitting alone until Reese, an author Joe likes, shows up and says that the people there suck. Later, we get a flashback of Joe finding Marianne in London, but she runs away, which isn't a great sign that a girl wants to see you. Hear me out. Joe gets pissed at Malcolm for calling Marianne a bop and insults his taste in women, and women in general. Joe is drugged up or drunk or something. He doesn't know where he is, and then he wakes up with Malcolm dead on his kitchen counter. Joe believed that he did this when he was drugged out of his mind. While he tries to deal with it, he sees the police at Kate's place. He shoves Malcolm's body in the car and heads into a construction area. He cuts Malcolm into pieces. I forget he gained so much experience over the years of being a killer that he has a lot of skills related to it. We get another flashback. Joe was confronted by a hitman hired by the Quinn family, but the hitman doesn't want to hurt people anymore, so he gives Joe another identity. This is the most plot-armored way to not be caught that his name is actually Joe Goldberg, but alright. Back to the present, Joe bumps into Kate at the school. She asks about Malcolm since he's been gone. She invites him to Lady Phoebe's dinner party. The girl from the drug out night thing.
And not only do I not care if you think I'm a bitch, I hugely prefer it.
Bro, she's so annoying. We end the episode with Joe getting an anonymous message. I really like the setting change. England is an interesting choice for the new location. Kate is kind of annoying. I understand she's supposed to be the witty British girl, but she's just really rude for no reason. Maybe British people are just like that, I don't know. But I found that like a tad irritating. We are now at a dinner party. Joe is convinced someone from the dinner knows who he is and killed Malcolm.
You steal my spotlight, and I murder you.
Joe goes back home and finds a letter on his floor. It's an invite to one of the rich douchebags' art show. Joe goes to the library to look at whodunit books, which is basically like Sherlock or freaking that one guy, until one of his students, Nadia, teaches him the archetypes of those type of books. Joe's first suspect is the hitman who gave him the fake identity, but he quickly finds out it's not him. Joe gets a text from the villain describing his clothes and knowing his name isn't Jonathan Moore. Joe's next stop is Phoebe.
Did I get here just in time?
Oh, don't!
She's not dying, she's getting waxed. That's fair to scream then. I wouldn't, but she would, because I'm a man, I'm a cool guy, I don't scream. She was the one who invited him to the art show. Phoebe's butler, which is literally just Alfred, takes Joe to get a new suit for the show. Joe sees the other people from the night out.
You know, I was just talking to Malcolm about...
That brain-free fuckboy wouldn't know art if it's shit in his mouth.
I couldn't understand him at all. They all hate Malcolm a lot too. Later that night, Joe sneaks into Malcolm's office. He finds written bets that are owed. He bumps into Nadia while leaving. She gives him even more advice to help him. The advice was pretty much to be himself, which I don't know how that's gonna help, but you know, it works. He stalks Adam, Phoebe's boyfriend.
Oh, more. Give it to me.
Alfred shoves Joe against the wall. He eventually lets him go because Joe is charming and great with excuses. We are now back at the art show. Joe's trying to follow Adam, but is interrupted by Ronald. Or Royald, something like that. They pronounce his name weird. I'm calling him Ronald. I do not care.
Have we met?
Probably at Sundry House. Malcolm brought him the other night.
Ah. Well, any friend of Malcolm and Kate's?
Just Malcolm.
Ouch. Back to Adam. He's on Molly. Joe tries to find out if he hates Malcolm.
You're right, though. Malcolm is trash. Let me tell you something. Do not ever let that nosy cum rag near your private business.
He does hate him, but he's not a killer. He's just a rich guy who likes drugs. Reese shows up and talks to Joe about Simon's art.
Fuck you!
Oh shit! Simon covers the painting with even more red.
An honor. After birth, Metacat had been destroyed. Or perfected. Born in a moment of passion, we witnessed together.
That's actually a great cover up, I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty smart. Joe talks to Kate about the girl that did the whole... They find her and question her. She's the artist behind Simon's work, but she never got credit for it. Kate writes a check for her and dips. Joe believes Simon is the one who killed Malcolm. He takes a little stroll and falls asleep on a bench. Uh-oh. Right then, Joe gets a message from the mysterious texter, and then Joe finds Simon's body. The next day, the horrible rich people insult Simon, only a day after he dies. Reese needed some air after hearing them talk about Simon like a poor person. Joe goes back to researching mystery books, and Nadia talks with Joe, very much hinting that Malcolm was sleeping with her.
I would be happy to read your pages.
Really?
Nadia, you're already a writer. Malcolm can't bestow that or take it away, and neither can I. Bring me unicorns.
Okay. I've got to go. I knew you were cool.
Aw, that's cute. Uh-oh. Episode 2. This season's actually really interesting so far. I love the mystery element. Joe's beard and hairstyle is also growing on me. He looks kinda cool. I don't really like Kate that much. I think she'll grow on me later on though. I don't know why they had Adam have a weird pee kink. They could have made him cheat on his girlfriend like a normal person and not be peed on. Maybe I'm picky. I don't know. This is weird. Joe's panicking very hard, throwing all the papers on the wall in his fireplace. The dangerous texter is bothering Joe even more. While Joe is teaching, the students get a text stating that Malcolm is dead. The new killer on the loose is now known as the Eat the Rich Killer, which is a sick name. The police come over to Joe's place, and he throws Simon under the bus. The police let him go. The texter messages Joe that he should kill Kate since she's the problem. Let's go! I hate British people! Nadia sent a letter to Malcolm. I guess it talks about his affair, and Joe says to Nadia that she'll ask Kate about it. Malcolm and Simon's funeral is going on.
I have no desire to hear what you have to say, and frankly, I don't know why you've come.
She wants you so bad, bro. Alfred talks to Joe. He thinks they're alike, so Joe uses the opportunity to shit talk the rich. Alfred doesn't like that. He likes Phoebe and hates Joe. Joe follows Kate. He tells her that she can't be alone since there's an Eat the Rich Killer out there.
Why are you following me, really? Is it to f me?
Yeah.
Kate drags Joe to some forest area.
I can say something romantic, if you like.
What? Yeah, they sleep together. Alfred, stop! Joe wakes up at Kate's place. He snoops through her place to find Nadia's letter. Kate catches him and demands him to leave.
I would rather be cut up into 1,000 tiny pieces than spend another second alone with you.
Hey buddy, you get used to hearing that. Trust me. Joe continues to follow Kate until Alfred decides to poke a gun at Joe. They fight. Joe is good at fighting for some reason and strangles Alfred out. Joe dumps the body in Malcolm's grave. Joe goes home.
No! You sick!
Yeah, Joe doesn't like texting with the new serial killer. The next day, Phoebe texts Joe to meet up with her. When he arrives, everyone is there, including police. Episode 3. This episode was great. I didn't expect Joe to sleep with Kate this soon. I'm starting to understand her a little more. I don't mind her as much now. There weren't any really bad parts. One thing I don't like is some of the whole woke stuff. I hate that word, but still. Things that are said sometimes, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's Netflix, so there's bound to be stuff like that, but you know, not the biggest fan of that. The police question Joe. They don't think he's the killer, but they still ask him to make sure again. Phoebe invites Joe to her country house, which the friend group is going to. Damn, talk about rich. One of the annoying rich people comes up to Joe.
You rather stick out, don't you? So is she actually shagging you, Phoebe, or are you more decorative?
She really is so sweet.
Is it true, though? American men are better in bed, or is it only the Jewish ones?
I hate her. She's British, so she's even more annoying.
I spend the next 3 hours getting ready before I walk outside because you never know when you'll meet a professional athlete.
Actually, I take that back.
Well, lovely chat, but I'm off to hang myself because you're so boring. I'm joking, but do better.
Joe thinks any of them could be the texter, since they all suck and are the most cliche rich people ever.
It's a great bed for shagging.
Alright, Joe gets a letter stating to go to the portrait gallery. Joe gets dragged in by Phoebe. He's confused.
I've made molds of all my lovers' cocks. Body safe wax, of course.
Despite what she said, she's kinda bad, I'm not gonna lie. He kindly rejects her. She's insecure about Adam, and Joe gives her good advice, saying that Adam loves her, but has stuff on his mind. The rich people are being the horrible people they are.
On all fours, like a little doggy, a good doggy, woof woof. Oh, add a little bend to it.
Adam has a drink with Joe. Adam wants advice about the married life, and he wants to propose to Phoebe.
Run for your life, bro.
Did he just say bruh? I say it, sure, but I'm not in my mid-30s. Apparently, Ronald was the one who invited Joe to the country house. They don't actually end up sleeping together, since they both know that they shouldn't. Joe goes through Ronald's room, and he finds his camera, which has a lot of pictures of Kate. Oh no, it's like Peach again. The next morning, Kate says to Joe that she hates that one girl.
Gemma. You love when I do that.
Hey, maybe Kate isn't too bad after all. Ronald invites Joe after being brutally rejected by Kate. The walk is informative. Ronald hates Malcolm and Joe.
Really does have the worst tasting companions.
Is this a confession?
Lucky for her, they seem to wind up dead.
My goat saves Joe. They actually sleep together this time, so that's cool. They all have dinner.
I was very positive in a past life.
Someone dropped a bomb on this house.
True.
What if Jonathan were the killer?
Uh-oh. Bro, that girl sucks so much. They all bully Kate for some reason.
Lady Phoebe is dead. Out of respect, I recommend we retire to the library at once.
The drawing room.
We retire to the drawing room.
What's happening? Okay, from what I got from this is that they're playing murder mystery, which why of all the times would you play this game? Joe talks to Kate about what happened at dinner. She talks about her dad, whom she isn't the biggest fan of.
Paid to have well water toxicity reports falsified. No one found out, and several children got cancer, and the company made £400 million.
That's just plain evil. Anyway, we're back at the game. Joe is back in Ronald's room.
What the hell are you doing in my room?
That's what it looks like.
It's you, isn't it? Did you kill Malcolm because you're in love with Kate?
No, did you?
You know, it's funny, this game. Every year, someone gets hurt.
Bruh.
Ow.
Oh shit! Joe's alive. He heads upstairs, and he finds Kate with a bloody knife and the annoying girl dead on the floor. This season has actually been my favorite by far. The step back from America and going with almost like a Sherlock Holmes vibe. I love Sherlock. I've read almost the whole series, so having this type of environment is great to watch. I like Kate more now. She's not as mean as she used to be, and the writers gave her more personality too, which is nice to have on screen. Joe has post-nut clarity. Another woman he has fallen in love with is a murderer. She says she didn't do it, which the bloody hands don't convince me. She blackmails Joe into helping her cover it up, since she doesn't want her psycho dad involved. The party is still going on. Everyone is doing nose candy, and the Brits show Adam their own ways.
Democracy.
Democracy!
Joe and Kate shove the annoying girl into the basket in front of the bed. Phoebe comes into the room, confessing that Adam is cheating on her. With the waiter, Kate demands her to get out, and when they both try to pick up the body, the basket falls apart. But they get a new idea. Joe and Kate have a nice bonding moment.
How are you this good at hiding bodies? Who are you, really?
Joe confesses to her that they both are being framed for murder. Him with Malcolm and her with the one girl. He freaking trauma dumps all the previous season stuff onto her. She believes him. Kate, being the dumb woman, drops her bracelet when dealing with the girl's body. That's not good. Kate tells Phoebe about everything. She handles it surprisingly well.
I need to be able to kill the murderer with my bare teeth if they attack you.
Aw, I really like her. She's nice.
Stand up, Jonathan.
Uh-oh. Ronald brings him to the group, and they start panicking. Ronald actually connects a few dots about Joe being the killer. Joe tries to tell him that he's innocent. Ronald is a weirdo and gives Joe a head start to imitate a fox hunt.
You murderer!
This scene is pretty cool.
I reckon I might have been a hound in a past life, because I can smell you now. That same peasant stench I got a whiff of when we first met.
That was a cold line, I'm not gonna lie. Joe tackles Ronald to the ground, and he slams his head into the grass. What? Joe wakes up to him and Ronald being tied to some underground dungeon, and Reese stands over them, doing the usual villain speech. Reese wants to pin all the murders on Ronald.
One less spoiled, violent little shit on this earth.
Fair enough. Joe fakes his friendship with him, but Reese leaves while putting on his little leather glove things. When Reese is back, he knows that Joe is just pretending to be his girlie. Now he's going to frame Joe for all the murders. Yikes. Adam wakes up after being KO'd by Joe. He apologizes for the weird kink thing. They smell something burning. Ronald wakes up, and Joe breaks him out of the chains. Even though he was going to kill Joe 30 minutes ago, Kate finds them and saves them. The insurance on that would be crazy. Joe's back at home, greeted by Kate, who gifted him some new clothes.
Walk with me to the pub.
Is Kate Galvin trying to ask me out?
If you're not busy,
Is that good game? I don't know. Joe rejects her, out of fear of hurting her. If you hear a person say that they don't want to hurt you, take their word for it. They are probably right about that. Reese is running for mayor, and Joe isn't having it. Now Joe knows who to track down. Episode 5 is amazing. I love the mystery behind the killings. It's very interesting. At least we know it was Reese. I find it funny how everyone blames Joe for everything, but I would too, since all the murders happened when he showed up. The cinematography is amazing. Some shots look out of an anime. It's sick. Reese is the new villain of this season, which includes having Joe stalking him around. But Joe is also being stalked by some weird lady.
Find where you live. Following your amicable divorce, it's nice but not pretentious. Breaking into Henderson's was tricky. This one is worse.
I hate how good Joe is at finding where people live. He finds Reese's house immediately. When Joe goes back to his giant house, he finds Reese sitting in his living room. He still wants to be friends with Joe. Reese is basically Joe, just British, and doesn't deny his killer side to him, finding someone to frame for all the murders. Phoebe calls Joe to come over. She feels like she's being followed.
Who the fuck is that?
That's Nico, another rich guy who is in love with Kate. Joe checks his fridge. Wait, that's not my Hungry Man home-style meatloaf.
Hungry Man satisfies even the biggest appetite.
He hits some party, looking for someone to frame.
Don't engage, can't engage.
I also say that when I see a woman. The guy Joe is going to frame now wants to be a good person, so he's out of the framing job. Nico bought all of Kate's art.
My place. Tomorrow. Bring wine.
I guess it works. A lady brought Phoebe upstairs, locking the door, Yeah, she's crazy. She thinks that they're friends and is generally unwell. The police and Joe find her.
But you know, Phoebe, I did this to help you.
Nadia is slowly becoming more suspicious of Joe, since he's been at every dangerous event near Kate and Phoebe. Kate and Nico are on a little date thing. They do the gross kissing stuff until she sees a text on his phone from her dad. She's not the biggest fan of her dad, and Nico has been working for her dad and is doing a favor for him by trying to sleep with the man's daughter. Joe comes over to Kate's and they spew some sappy love crap. They do the cool sex part though. Joe comes home to find Reese at his kitchen table.
You know, there's nothing quite like a nice, cold, crisp lager after sex.
Reese has his final request offered to Joe, killing Kate's father. Episode 6, I like Reese. He's a psycho, but I like that he's never really serious. He's always joking. He also seems very smart as well. Smart as Joe even. I like Kate now. She's understanding, at least for now. Killing the dad is a crazy plot point to add. I think it'll make it more engaging, so I'm not complaining or anything. Joe's actually in a good mood for once. On a date with Kate, why does he not shave his chest? It's crawling out of his polo. It's disgusting. Kate's dad is coming home tomorrow. So Joe, killing Kate's dad is not really avoidable. And Joe's meeting with Kate.
Serious, huh? Well, looking forward to getting to know you, Joe.
Uh-oh. During this dinner, the dad tries to slip insults to Joe while talking about Kate's past. Once Kate leaves for the bathroom, the dad gives the typical, "Don't hurt my daughter."
Don't hurt Kate, or you'll meet the real me.
The dad doesn't like Reese because of some political reasons, but Joe gets the idea to help Kate's dad with dealing with Reese. Joe places security cameras at his house and invites Reese for a little play date.
Smell that? Smells like a rat. Shit.
Joe gets caught trying to record Reese, then Reese pulls out Marianne's ID. Now Joe really does have to kill Kate's dad. Kate comes over the next day.
To you how, when I worked there, my father gave a load of kids cancer to get a pipeline built. He didn't. I did.
That's not great. She wants to break things off since she believes she's too much of a bad person. Joe meets Kate's dad, and as soon as he's gonna kill him, the dad talks about Reese. He talks about where Reese is staying, since Reese is hiding because of some political crap he said. Kate's dad wants Joe to kill Reese.
This is where you'll find him. Go be your best self.
Clean exit. Joe's at Reese's house. He tied him up in his own basement and tortured his balls. That's not looking good. Eddie sent her photos of where Joe goes in his free time, at some restaurant, and she finds a hidden dungeon. Joe killed Reese.
Well, isn't this a pickle?
What? Nadia finds Marianne in a cage. Episode 7. What the hell? So Joe has been hallucinating Reese the entire time. That makes some sense. When I first watched this season 2 years ago, that reveal was the most surprising twist I've seen from you. I'm just confused about how Joe didn't pick up on it until now, because like no one interacted with Reese. In this episode, we get Marianne's perspective of everything that happened. It's like a horror game. Joe chasing Marianne through the streets, drugging her and trapping her in a room. Joe gives her food and water, and she eats as he watches footage of Reese talking about the same things that happened at the bar.
Speak to my daughters to help.
I am trying
Help
to
someone out. Please help me.
Yikes. When he was dragging her to his dungeon, she tried fighting him, but it didn't work, because that's never worked on Joe.
I think it's broken.
Joe's mentally ill, spouting absolute nonsense. What the hell? He basically believes he is Reese, doing all the terrible stuff to Marianne and all that.
I hate you. I hate you. I hope you burn in hell, you mother.
She's fine. We cut to Joe back at Reese's place. Joe's a bit confused. Reese tells Joe that he kidnapped Marianne and took her captive. He goes back home and checks the security camera he hid from before.
Do you think I'm a fucking idiot?
Yeah, he cray-cray. Joe remembers all his and Reese's encounters. He even imagined the text he would get. Joe was the one who killed Simon and Malcolm, the annoying girl, all of them. Reese wants Joe to remember who he truly is. We go back to when Nadia found Marion. Marion doesn't want the police involved. Nadia will come back tomorrow to help her.
Hello. You?
It's the line! After Joe teaches his classes, he has a talk with Nadia. Reese tells him that Nadia is lying and knows something. Joe is confused about where Marion could be, causing Reese to hint where she could be. Joe finds his trophies in a box that contains real Reese's stuff. It's absolutely vile. He has like a workout towel right in the box that's been sitting there for a long time. He goes to the Indian restaurant that we've seen in the past episode. Episode 8, crazy episode, Crazy Joe. Joe is like an actual horror movie villain. He's low-key terrifying. Nadia is definitely getting caught or killed or stuffed in a bag or something, which would probably be horrible for him to do since he likes Nadia so much. I didn't show it, but I like how Reeves was making comparisons with the crazy Phoebe fan and Joe, since they're both obsessive and absolutely bonkers. Joe's still on the hunt for Marianne.
I'm sorry.
At least he apologizes.
Hey, nothing's there. It's all gone.
Hello, neighbor-ass energy. Nadia talks to Marion after he leaves. Marion wants to kill Joe, and Nadia and her come up with a plan to do it. I'm pretty sure they're too weak and unskilled to do it, but we'll see. It's probably not gonna work. Reese tells Joe to check his fridge, and he finds a gun in there. Joe's trying to leave the country, since after he plans to let Marion out, he has to dip out just in case. Kate is having trouble with Phoebe. Phoebe has been having a mental breakdown after everything that happened, and Adam and her are getting married. He's only marrying her for her money since he's horribly broke. Joe decides to talk with her. He makes Phoebe doubtful about the relationship, and then Adam kicks him and Kate out. Joe's trying to end things with Kate, but in the beautiful, cool way. The next day, Kate's dad tells her to take over the company. While that is happening, Joe's having a little problem. Joe tries contacting Marion's daughter's caretaker, but the caretaker says that Marion's grandmother is going to take care of her, and Marianne is losing custody.
I took Juliet, and then I abandoned her.
What have I done?
They think I relapsed, Joe. I'll never see my daughter again. You might as well kill me, Joe. You might as well kill me.
Valid response. The next day, he releases Marianne, or tries to at least. The code doesn't work though.
I didn't do anything.
You're not allergic. I would know if you're allergic. What do you mean? What's wrong?
What's happening? Okay, so he's hallucinating something. He took Phoebe's mental pills, so he's tripping balls.
You. Everyone, this is Joe. He finished writing my book after I died in his arms.
What the hell? Beck and Love show up and make fun of him, calling Joe ugly, stupid, and dumb, and then he wakes up. Joe plans on letting Marion out and game ending himself.
Can you turn that down in here, bro?
Yeah, so Adam got killed by some hitmen and one dominatrix. Kate finds out and calls her dad since she knows he was the one who killed him. She argues with him, and then he reveals interesting knowledge. When she cut ties with him, he helped her anyway. So all the stuff she accomplished was him who did it, who helped her out. So, you know, not great. Joe goes back to his dungeon. Well. Episode 9 was a great episode. I really liked the dream sequence. I think it shows different sides of Joe's brain, the one that wants to do good and the killer part of himself. Reese is kind of right at some parts. He thinks what you don't say out loud. Not all of his thoughts, but some. Yeah, I'm not a killer or anything. Joe places Marion's body onto a park bench. He still plans on taking his own life tonight. Nadia shows her classmate slash boyfriend Eddie who Joe truly is. But when she goes to his dungeon, all the equipment is gone. Speaking of Joe, Kate invited him over.
As you know, when I was 18, 19, I was working with my dad, learning the ropes. I was quite boy crazy. I liked them tortured and dark.
So, Bruce Wayne, everyone loves Bruce Wayne. She vents to him about her dad and how he controlled her entire life, even to now. Reese tells Joe to kill Kate's dad, and Joe agrees this time. Joe goes to the dad's workshop, and he tells him about Reese's body being found after Joe killed him, since Kate's dad was trying to cover up the body, but he left some evidence behind. Joe knocks him out, but then some guy in a suit shows up. Damn, that was a kill cam, bro. Kate's dad offers to give Joe his real name back, and even though it's a very tempting offer, Joe couldn't care less.
Being a man is...
That's gotta be a horrible way to go. Joe fakes a story for the dad's death. Joe is way too good at this. To be fair, he's been doing it for a long time, but still. Joe takes a nice little stroll after killing his girlfriend's dad. Joe feels like he'll kill Kate at some point, like he did with all the other women he fell in love with. Reese gets a little weird with Joe.
Why can't you see that? Why can't you see me the way I see you? I love you!
What, are you gonna kiss or something? Oh, okay. Joe regrets jumping, and he tries to swim back up, but he can't. Marion is actually alive. She faked her death, and Nadia helped her out. She tells Eddie this. Then they panic and go to Joe's flat to make sure that they didn't get caught on camera at his place and try to, get rid of the footage. Joe's alive as well. Kate visits him.
If you had died, I would never have forgiven you.
Not the reaction I was expecting. Joe's finally being honest, telling her that he killed people. She doesn't honestly care and only wants to take care of Joe. We end it with him telling Kate her real name. Nadia and Eddie are at Joe's flat, and she finds a box of all Reese's stuff.
You shit fucking hell!
Oh, sorry.
God, Chris always scared that I found me.
It's okay. It's okay. Did I see you coming from my flat? Are you looking for me?
Uh-oh. He came back. Joe framed Nadia for the murder of Eddie. We get a little epilogue. The rich people are still rich. Phoebe is teaching English in Thailand. And Marion is with her daughter again. Joe is clean shaven and is now back in New York with Kate. Joe bought a bookshop, probably Moody's, and is now back to his normal self. Overall review, what can I say? Season 4 had a lot of twists and turns. Finding out Joe was the main killer was shocking when I first watched it 2 years ago. I found the dark side of him very interesting to hear in Joe's ear. I like Kate. I wouldn't date her, but she fits Joe. The problem I had with this season is that it's running a bit long, but next season's the final season, so that shouldn't be a problem. I'm very excited to watch season 5 as well. Overall, this season was great. Some things I didn't like sometimes it was a bit woke, or it would say certain quote-unquote millennial Gen Z jokes, and they didn't hit. It felt like forced, like a 50-year-old who has dyed hair is trying to make jokes about people that are in their 20s or 30s. It doesn't feel right. It felt kind of just corny, but I liked it. I liked that London was the new setting. It felt cool to look at the buildings that were different, and maybe it wasn't filmed in London, but I think it was. Now, only one more season to go.